Hello and welcome back to another episode of STU'S Reviews. So today, we're going to take a look at this. The Mavic Air. Taken straight from DJI's website, the Mavic Air is an ultra-portable device with a revolutionary multi-dimensional folding design. Magnesium alloy brackets reinforce the 7 onboard cameras, with the primary gimbal camera being recessed for even more protection. All the cameras work together to create what DJI are calling the Flight Autonomy 2.0, which supposedly makes this drone one of the safest and easiest to fly. Now, some of you may have seen that I've done an unboxing video of the Mavic Air. Propellers. Good! I love USB-C! And I will leave a link in the description below where you can see the full video to that. So if you want to check it out, it's down there. But for now, we're going to skip that. And we're going to get into reviewing the drone. Now, I've been through the style already a little bit in the unboxing, but let's just take a look at it one more time. So the controller itself is self-contained. It's a beautifully designed piece of kit because it sits flush and flat inside this little pouch in the case, which I really like. And the reason it sits flat and flush is because they've removed the thumbsticks, which they hide inside here. And all you do is you take one out, you screw it in like this, and then the other side as well. Takes about 15 seconds and you're in, you're ready to go. So in terms of design for this, I think it's incredible. Really, really impressed with the build quality of this controller. Very, very nice indeed. As for the drone, well, let's pop that out. This is also a very beautiful piece of technology. So is the case. But I'll put that down there for now. The drone itself is designed so well that it really does fit inside your pocket. Although the propellers are jabbing me a little bit. There we are. Gone. That, I didn't know it could do that actually. I've just literally tried that right now and it worked. I didn't expect that to work. But it fits in my top pocket. I can pull it out. I can put this in my other top pocket and then start using it, which I think is incredible. Now, the downside to it being so small and folded up so compact is that it can be a little bit fiddly. So it isn't always obvious how it's supposed to unfold, especially at first when you're getting used to it. Now, the bottom sort of folds out and outwards. It does like this weird kind of arm pivotal movement thing, and then once you've folded the back out, you then fold the front out and the little toes, I'm going to call those toes, little toes down, and then back out, and there we go. And then the actual camera itself is hidden behind this protector, which is supposed to protect it when you're moving. If you click those like that, slide it out front ways, it comes off. Now, the annoying thing is not this, because I actually find this a really handy and useful piece of kit. Now, I'm going to criticise Mr. Casey Neistat in this. In his review, he disregarded this and said it doesn't go back on properly. That's because he may well be an idiot, or he's got that much money that he doesn't need to worry about looking after his drone. I actually think it's a very straightforward piece of technology to put back on to this very expensive piece of technology. And to do so, you just align the camera up like that, slide it in, and then click it down. Not hard, Mr. Casey Neistat. Not hard at all. Now, the last thing with this drone is on the very, very, very back, you've got this little flappy bit here, and that flaps down to access the SD card slot and a USB-C port. Now, overall, this design is very good. But there is something very stupid involving this SD card slot and USB-C port, and it's not obvious straight away. Plugging it into your computer, you have to power the entire thing on, which means you have to unfold everything, take off this, press this button on the bottom, making sure that you've got charge in the battery, actually start it up so it goes a bit mad, like that, making noise and drama and generally heating everything up because it does run quite hot. Would it have been so hard for DJI to put a low power USB mode in this device? I don't think so. Because that's all it needed. I didn't want to open it all up and power it up just so that I could use the USB input on the bottom. But apparently I have to do that. It is what it is. When it comes to actually using the device, let's talk about what it can do. Well, it is a drone. First things first, the camera. Now that is one of the most important aspects of droneography, if that's a word. Anyway, moving back to the point. This is a phenomenal piece of kit when it comes to its recording capabilities for video. And I have here a list of what it supports. First of all, it can shoot in 4K, up to 30 frames a second, which is very, very, very good indeed. And it also shoots at 2.7K at 60 frames a second, which is even better. And the last thing it does is full HD at a top speed of 120 frames a second, which is incredible. And it means that if you want to do stuff in slow motion, you want to get somebody kicking a ball or whatever it is you're filming in slow motion, then 1080p at 120 frames a second is a fantastic mode to shoot in for those slow motion bits of footage that you're doing. As well, the camera itself is on a 3-axis gimbal, which means that it is incredibly steady. And I believe this is the smallest drone ever to have a 3-axis gimbal. So overall, that's very, very impressive. In comparison to something like the Spark, which is a tiny bit smaller, that doesn't have a 3-axis gimbal. And the nearest sort of competitor to it, which is something like the Mavic Pro, is about this big. Well, it's not that big, it's probably about this big, but it's much, much bigger than the Mavic Air, and that does have a 3-axis gimbal. So for such a small drone to have a 3-axis gimbal is very, very impressive indeed. While we're talking about the camera, let's take a quick look at some of the shots I've managed to take over the past couple of days of using this. A drone is only as good as its controller. So what sort of specifications does this have? Well, it can transmit up to a distance of 4,000 meters in some countries that let you travel that far with the drone, such as America. But in the UK, it can only go 2,000 meters because of limitations. I don't really understand why. Something to do with radio transmission, I think, as opposed from anything else. But it limits it to 2,000 meters in the UK, which is a very, very long way. And it uses its own Wi-Fi connectivity to do that. So What that might mean in areas where it's been very built up and there's lots and lots of people using Wi-Fi, you might find it has a little bit more interference than something like the Mavic Pro. Here is a quick shot of me testing out some of the distance or range capabilities. I'm traveling here from a mountaintop over to a farm. Now the total distance of this was about 640 meters, which is about just over a quarter of what I'm supposed to be able to do here in the UK. Will I test out the furthest it can go? Absolutely, just not in this particular review because the weather hasn't let me. I'm over there on the top of that mountain. That was the distance. Now what about the speed? So DJI say that it can travel up to 28.8 kilometers per hour, which is about 18 miles per hour here in the UK. That's on standard mode with all the sensors working and it not traveling very fast. But you can use this button here and flick it across into sport mode, which will allow you to over double your speed to about 68 kilometers per hour or around 42.5 miles per hour. Now I did find an issue with sport mode and traveling at speed. So for example, going away from the wind. And the issue was that when this goes really, really fast and when, for example, it's being blown with the wind and you're traveling away with it, it tilts a lot. But obviously the 3-axis gimbal here has a limit to what it can actually achieve in terms of its angle. Now if this thing is like this, it does mean that the camera gets angled down as soon as you move forward. It's not a problem because you can see what's happening and you can adjust it, but it was more of an annoyance and I didn't realise it did this. So in sudden movements, it would do this and the camera would drop slightly. I'll show you what that looks like now. But overall, it handles it very, very well. And actually, for such a small drone, I was really, really impressed with the speed of this thing. On to perhaps one of my favourite features, active tracking. Now, this wasn't automatically that obvious how active tracking worked because I've never used it before. I've only ever used the Phantom 3 standard, which had kind of a rudimentary way of tracking the whereabouts of the controller and following that, but it was pretty poor. This actually has active tracking, which means it uses the sensors and the camera to track particular subjects that you would choose to track. So I was very, very keen to test this out. Now, one of the main problems was I could get it to track me left and right and move the camera up and down, but I couldn't get it to follow. And there was a very, very simple reason why. Now you'll see on this image, this is recorded directly from my phone whilst in the air. This is what the drone sees. It's got a little green circle around me. Now, to me, I thought that was tracking me, no problem. However, what you actually need to do is tap on that circle and then it turns into a square. And when it turns into a square, it works absolutely fine. It actually took me a couple of goes to realise that's how it works. And I couldn't find anything that was that clear in the instructions either. So for those that are getting stuck with this, that is how you do it. But anyway, as standard, the device is going to hover where it started tracking me. And I have this little toggle switch on the bottom which I can move left or right. And what it does is it rotates the drone around me in a circular motion, keeping the same distance. Now this could be good for cinematic shots. It could be good for shots where you want to move the drone around somebody just to get a different angle. So it's quite a handy tool. Now the moment you let go, it stops. And the moment you start walking, or running in this case, it starts to follow. And I was really impressed. You can see here that it's following the curvature of the road as I'm running down it. So that is a really, really cool way of capturing your subjects. Now I'm walking back towards it and you can see it's pushing the drone backwards, still keeping the same distance. But at this point, I did give it an unexpected dash, which at that point, it lost me. But what it does when it loses you is it just hovers. So you walk back and you can start controlling it manually, or you can go back into tracking mode. Now I do want to test out the active tracking a little bit more than I did then, but I haven't had time to because the weather has been absolutely miserable, so I haven't really had much chance to get it up in the air and get it tracking something like a car or simply cycling, but I will do, and that will come in a separate review. And I also haven't taken a look at some other features as well, such as the APAS system that DJI have put into this particular product. And the APAS system is basically almost an autopilot so that it can avoid obstacles and fly around them. And I'm really excited to test this out. That review will be coming later this week. And it may be already out, so check in the description below and you'll find a link to it if it is. A couple of other things I haven't tested out just yet, which I will do in separate reviews, are things like the preset drone movements, such as droney or orbit or bounce. I also haven't tried out the photography element of it or the 3D panoramas, all of which, again, I'll be doing in a separate review later on this month, so keep an eye out for those. And as usual, I'll probably be testing them in some very interesting ways. So stay tuned. Now with the Mavic Air, there are two possible options. Option number one, the standard, which in my mind comes with a ridiculous amount of things for a standard kit drone. You've got the drone itself, you've got 4 propellers, you've got 4 extra propellers, you've got the controller, you've got 2 sets of thumbsticks in case you lose them, you've got the gimbal protector, KC, gimbal protector. You've also got the case, which I've thrown over here. You've got some propeller guards. So it comes with a ridiculous amount of stuff, and you can see exactly what it comes with in my unboxing in the description below. But what does this particular option come to? It comes to $769, which I'll talk about in the conclusion in just a second. Now the other option is $949. That's in British pounds. What it is in dollars, I'm not sure. But the other option is called the Fly More combo. Is it worth going for the Fly More combo? Well, I think so, because the battery life is only 21 minutes, which is quite minimal when you think about it, compared to some of the other options available. So having multiple batteries will help you out, especially if you want to do some long shots or you're out for a day of filming, because it takes about an hour to charge through the plug, which is annoying if you've only got 20 minutes of film time, or even less, maybe let's just say 15, 16 minutes of film time if you don't want to crash it. And then you bring it back to land, you got to wait for another hour before you can do another 15, 16 minutes of filming. So having an extra battery could be a very good option. Now I'll link in the description below where you can have a look at this yourself. It'll be different in UK and US, so check out those links. I would go as far as saying that this is the best drone ever made. I mean, come on, the quality is fantastic. The portability is incredible, the fact it packs down to such a small size. And it's only about £770, which is much, much cheaper than its bigger counterpart, which can do essentially less. It can't record in as high a quality video, and it can't pack down as small. Yes, okay, its bigger counterpart has more battery life and it's got a little bit of more distance on the controller. But again, that's irrelevant because there is a legal limit that you can only go to. So why would you pay all those extra monies for very, very little extra actual features? I don't know. But this is the drone that you should buy. And I endorse the Mavic Air wholeheartedly. I have absolutely loved every moment of it. And that concludes my review of the Mavic Air. Now guys, remember I will be doing reviews of the sort of more individual features such as the APAS system, the active tracking and the photography. So if those are done, they'll be in the description below, so check them out. I tell you now, you'll definitely want to check out the APAS review because I've got something very special for that planned.
Come round and play the PlayStation, he said.
But anyway, if you like the video, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe because it'll really help me out and it'll help you see more STU'S reviews. And I'll see you back for another episode soon.